You wake up, and for a moment, you just lie there. Not because you're tired, but because your body feels different today. Heavier, slower. Like someone turned the volume down on life itself. Maybe you stretch, or maybe you don't. You know what's coming? The stiffness in your knees, the ache in your lower back, the way your fingers don't move quite as quickly as they used to. You reach for your glasses, sit up slowly, and take a deep breath. Another day has begun, but something lingers in your mind. A quiet question that creeps in more often these days. Is this just how it is now? You remember the days when mornings meant energy, purpose, plans. Now, it sometimes feels like just getting out of bed is a small victory. And that thought stings. Not because you're afraid of aging, but because you still want to live fully. You still want to be strong. You still want to feel like you. Have you ever looked around at your friends and felt a pang of worry? Watched someone you care about struggle with their health? Thought, that could be me? And then pushed the thought away because it hurts too much to dwell on? We all do that. We brush it off. We smile. We carry on. But deep down, you know the truth. You want to age differently. Not just survive, but truly live. With joy, with strength, with dignity. And here's the good news. You can. It starts with understanding your body, not as it was, but as it is now. Because as we grow older, our needs change. What once helped us thrive might not serve us anymore. And sometimes, even the things we've trusted for years, like certain vitamins, might not be doing us any good at all. In fact, some of them may be completely useless after age 65. Sounds surprising. Maybe even a little unsettling. I get it. We've been told for so long that taking vitamins is a simple way to stay healthy. But what if I told you that some of those pills in your medicine cabinet aren't helping you and might even be holding you back? This isn't about fear. It's about clarity, about making choices that truly support your body, your journey, your future. Because aging doesn't have to mean decline. It can mean wisdom, strength, peace, and yes, even vitality. So let's take a step together. Let's look closely at what your body really needs now. Let's talk honestly about what works and what doesn't. And most importantly, let's give you the tools to live the next chapter of your life with intention, grace, and power. Are you ready? Let's begin. You've spent a lifetime building something beautiful. A family, a career, friendships that have weathered time, memories that still make you smile when you close your eyes. You've overcome challenges, celebrated victories, and carried both joy and sorrow with grace. Now you're in a new season of life, one that deserves just as much care, attention, and intention as any other. And yet, some days it feels like your body is no longer listening the way it used to. You might notice it in small ways at first. You forget where you left your keys more often than before. Climbing the stairs feels harder than it should. Your energy seems to fade by mid-afternoon. No matter how much rest you get, you wake up tired even after a full night's sleep. These changes can feel frustrating, maybe even a little scary, but they're not signs that you're broken. They're signals. Gentle nudges from your body saying, "Hey, I still want to do well. Let me show you what I need now." That's why today's conversation matters so much, because as we age, especially past 65, our bodies change in ways we don't always talk about, but absolutely need to understand. Our metabolism slows, our digestion shifts, our cells communicate differently. And yes, our nutritional needs evolve too. What worked for us at 40 or 50 may not be what our body truly needs at 70 or beyond. This isn't about blaming yourself or feeling like you've done something wrong. It's about giving yourself the gift of awareness. Because once you know better, you can do better. And here's what's really at stake. It's not just about taking a few pills every morning. It's about protecting your independence, your ability to walk your dog without pain, to play with your grandchildren without needing to sit down after 5 minutes, to drive to the store, cook your favorite meal, and enjoy a long phone call with an old friend without worrying if your body will keep up. Because when we lose those things, piece by piece, it doesn't just affect our health, it affects our spirit. We start to withdraw. We say no more often than yes. We stop doing the things that bring us joy, not because we don't want to, but because we don't feel strong enough anymore. But here's the truth. It doesn't have to be this way. There is a path forward, one that's grounded in science, rooted in respect for your body, and filled with choices that actually support your health, not just mask symptoms. And it starts with understanding what your body truly needs now. That's what this video is about. Not flashy promises or miracle cures, just real, practical, evidence-based insight into 3 common vitamins that many seniors are still taking, thinking they're helping, but that may actually be doing nothing at all. And more importantly, we'll talk about what does work, what your body is truly asking for at this stage of life, so you can make informed decisions, feel stronger, live with more energy, and take back control day by day, choice by choice, because you deserve to feel good, not just older, but wiser, stronger, and fully alive. So let's dive in together. There's something deeply comforting about routine, especially as we grow older. Morning coffee by the window, a walk around the block, taking your vitamins with a glass of water, just like you've done for years. It feels like taking care of yourself. And it is, up to a point. But what if I told you that some of those daily rituals, habits you've trusted, are no longer serving you the way they used to? What if that morning fatigue you feel isn't just getting older, but actually a quiet sign of dehydration? Or maybe even a lack of something simple, like magnesium or potassium? And what about those aching joints? The ones that stiffen when you stand up after sitting too long? What if they're not just wearing out, but silently calling out for a nutrient you might be missing? It's easy to assume that pain, tiredness, forgetfulness, they're all just part of aging. But what if they're not? What if they're clues? Messages from your body, asking for something different? Think back to a time when you felt truly energized, when you could get through the day without needing a nap, when you could carry groceries, laugh with friends, stay up late because you simply didn't feel tired. Do you remember how good that felt? Now ask yourself this. Could I have that energy again? If only I knew where to look. Because here's something most people don't realize. A lot of what we call aging is actually nutrition in disguise. Your body has always been doing its best to keep up with you. But as you age, it changes. And sometimes, the things that once supported you, like certain vitamins, no longer do. In fact, some of them may be completely useless now. Not dangerous necessarily, but not helpful either. That means you might be spending money on supplements that aren't making a difference. Worse, they might even be interfering with what your body really needs. Does that sound hard to believe? Let me tell you a quick story. I once met a woman named Ruth. She was 72, sharp as a tack, but always tired. She took a multivitamin every morning, just like her doctor had recommended years ago. She thought she was doing everything right, but then she stopped, just for a few weeks. And something surprising happened. She started feeling less foggy, more awake during the day. Her digestion improved, and she realized something else. She'd been low on vitamin D all along, not because she wasn't eating well, but because her body had changed. It needed a different form of support. Ruth's story isn't unique. In fact, it's more common than you might think. So before we go any further, let me ask you, do you ever wonder why, despite doing all the right things, you still don't feel quite like yourself? What if the answer lies not in a pill, but in understanding your body better? What if the most powerful medicine isn't in a bottle at all, but in choosing what really supports you now? Let's take a closer look at 3 common vitamins that many seniors are still taking, thinking they're helping, but that may not be doing much at all. And more importantly, we'll talk about what does work, because you deserve to feel strong, you deserve to live fully, and you deserve to understand what your body is really asking for at this beautiful stage of life. So let's begin with the first one. Let me ask you something. Have you ever sat down with a full plate of food and still felt tired? Maybe even a little foggy? Like your body was saying, thanks for the meal, but your energy didn't really notice? That's not your fault. And it's not just aging. It could be that what you're eating isn't giving your body what it truly needs anymore. Because here's the truth about nutrition after 70. It's not just about how much you eat. It's about what you eat and whether your body can actually use it. Think of your body like a car. When you were younger, maybe it ran fine on regular gas. But now, it needs premium fuel to keep going strong. Your metabolism has slowed. Your digestion has changed. Your cells are asking for different nutrients than they did 20 or 30 years ago. And if you don't give them what they need, they start to run on empty. You might not realize it at first, but over time, that shows up in small ways. You feel sluggish after meals. You forget things more often. Your skin feels drier. You wake up stiff and sore. These aren't signs that you're getting older. They're signs that your body is trying to tell you something. And the good news? You can listen. Let me tell you about someone I met named Frank. He was 74 when he came to see a nutritionist. Not because he was sick, but because he wasn't living the way he wanted to. He used to love walking his dog every morning. But lately, he'd been cutting the walks short. His knees hurt. His energy flagged by midday. He took a multivitamin every morning and thought that was enough. But then he started paying attention to what he was eating. Instead of reaching for cereal and toast, he added eggs and spinach to his breakfast. Instead of processed snacks, he started munching on nuts and fruit. He drank more water throughout the day. And slowly, almost without noticing, something shifted. He had more energy, less joint pain. He started sleeping better. And most importantly, he felt like himself again. Frank didn't take a magic pill. He didn't follow a strict diet. He just gave his body what it needed. Real, nutrient-rich food. And that made all the difference. Because nutrition after 70 isn't about restriction. It's about intention. It's about choosing foods that nourish your muscles, protect your brain, and support your heart. It's about making sure your body has everything it needs to keep moving, thinking, and feeling good. So I want to ask you this. What if your fatigue, your forgetfulness, your stiffness wasn't just age, but a quiet cry from your body asking for better fuel? Would you be willing to try something new? Would you be open to shifting your plate just a little bit to give yourself more energy, more clarity, more joy? Because the food you eat every day isn't just keeping you alive. It's helping you live. And that matters more than ever now. So let's talk next about one of the biggest misunderstandings seniors have about their health. There's something about getting older that brings both peace and sometimes a quiet kind of loneliness. You might not feel it all the time, maybe just in those still moments, like when you're sitting alone after dinner or waking up before the day has begun. It's not always sadness. Sometimes it's just emptiness. And here's what most people don't talk about. That feeling, it doesn't just live in your chest. It lives in your body too. Because science now shows that loneliness isn't just an emotion, it's a signal. One that affects your blood pressure, your immune system, even your brain. Think about the last time you felt truly connected to someone who understood you, who made you laugh, who knew your stories and still wanted to hear more. Did you notice how you stood taller? How your mood lifted? How your whole body seemed to relax? That's not just in your head. It's in your health. Let me tell you about Margaret. She was 78 when she moved into a retirement community after her husband passed away. She had everything she needed: good food, regular checkups, daily walks. But inside, she felt like a part of her had gone quiet. She stopped going to group activities. She missed the sound of her grandchildren's laughter. And slowly, she started noticing changes in her body. Her blood pressure crept up. She felt tired all the time. Her memory wasn't as sharp. One day, she mentioned it to the nurse. "I don't know what's wrong with me lately." And the nurse asked a question no one else had thought to ask. "When was the last time you really talked to someone? About anything?" Margaret paused. Then she said softly, "It's been a while." So she started small, joined a morning tea circle, shared a story, smiled at someone across the table. Slowly, connections began to grow again. And something remarkable happened. Her blood pressure dropped. Her sleep improved. She remembered things more clearly. She even signed up for a beginner's painting class. Margaret didn't need another pill. She needed connection. Because here's the truth we rarely talk about. Your heart listens to your emotions. And when you feel lonely, it hears that. Loneliness doesn't just make you sad. It makes your body work harder. It increases inflammation. It raises stress hormones. It speeds up aging, quietly, invisibly. But the opposite is also true. When you feel seen, heard, and loved, you give your body permission to rest, to heal, to thrive. So I want to ask you, have you noticed how your body feels different when you're surrounded by people you care about? When you've had a good conversation? When you've laughed until your sides hurt? Your body notices that. It remembers it. And if you've been feeling disconnected lately, I want you to know this. You are not alone. Not really. There are people who want to hear your stories. People who would light up just seeing your face. And if they're far away, there are still ways to bridge the distance, with calls, letters, or new friendships waiting to begin. Because staying emotionally connected isn't just good for your heart. It's good for your whole self. And that matters, more than you may realize. So let's keep going together. Next, we'll talk about something many seniors overlook, but that plays a surprisingly big role in how you feel every single day. Let me ask you something. Have you ever tried making a big change in your health, only to feel overwhelmed after a few days? Maybe you tried a new diet, or committed to an intense exercise plan, or started taking a long list of supplements because someone said it would help. And then life got in the way. You forgot a pill. You skipped a workout. You went back to what was familiar, not because you didn't care, but because it felt easier. That's okay, because real change doesn't come from big leaps. It comes from small, steady steps, ones that fit into your life without turning it upside down. Think of it like this. If your body is a garden, you don't have to replant everything at once. Sometimes just watering one plant each day makes all the difference. So let's talk about some simple, doable things you can start doing today that will support your energy, balance, and well-being in ways that matter. First, start your day with intention. Not with rushing or stress, but with a moment for yourself. Try this. When you wake up, sit up slowly. Take 3 deep breaths. Then stretch your arms above your head, reach your toes, and wiggle your fingers and toes. It takes less than a minute, but it wakes up your muscles, gets your blood moving, and sets a calm tone for the day. Next, drink water before coffee. It might sound small, but hydration is one of the biggest hidden causes of fatigue and brain fog. As we age, our sense of thirst changes. We don't always notice when we're dehydrated. So, first thing in the morning, before anything else, drink a full glass of water. Add a slice of lemon if you like. Your body will thank you. Now, let's talk about movement, not exercise. You don't need to run a marathon, but moving your body every day, even just a little, makes a world of difference. Try walking around the block after breakfast. Do some light stretches while watching your favorite show. Dance in the kitchen while you cook dinner. These aren't workouts. They're moments of joy that keep your body strong and balanced. And finally, think about your plate. Not as a punishment, but as a conversation with your body. You don't have to overhaul your diet overnight. Just try adding one extra serving of vegetables today. Swap white bread for whole grain toast. Choose grilled fish instead of fried chicken once a week. These choices may seem small, but over time, they build strength, clarity, and energy. So here's my question for you. What's one small change you could try this week? Just one. Something that feels doable. Something that brings you a little closer to how you want to feel. Maybe it's the morning stretch. Maybe it's drinking more water. Maybe it's taking a short walk after lunch. Pick one thing and give it a try. Because the truth is, you don't need a perfect routine to live well. You just need to start somewhere. And when you take those small steps with kindness, patience, and care, you begin to reclaim not just your health, but your joy. In the next section, we'll dive into the heart of today's message, the 3 common vitamins that many seniors are still taking, thinking they're helping. But that may no longer be doing anything at all. Let's take a closer look together. When we talk about health, we often focus on what we can measure: blood pressure, cholesterol, how many steps we take each day. But there's another kind of health, one that doesn't show up on a lab report, but lives deep in your soul. It's the feeling you get when you wake up knowing your life still has meaning. When you feel connected, not just to your body, but to something bigger than yourself. That's the spiritual side of aging. And it matters more than most people realize. Because when you lose your sense of purpose, your body notices. You might not feel it right away, but over time it shows up as fatigue, disconnection, or even pain that no pill seems to fix. Let me tell you about someone who understood this all too well. Her name was Eleanor. She was 82 when she first came to see a wellness coach, not for her body, but for her heart. She said, "I've lived a full life. I just don't know if I have much left to give." She had everything she needed: good health, loving children, financial security. But she felt empty, like she was going through the motions. So the coach asked her a question. What used to bring you joy before life got so quiet? Eleanor thought for a long time. Then she smiled softly. "I used to love helping kids learn to read," she said. So they started small. She volunteered once a week at a local school, reading to students who struggled with books. At first, she was nervous. Would the kids like her? Would she remember the stories? But something happened. As she sat with them, her voice steady and kind, her face lit up. Her posture changed. She laughed more. And slowly, that emptiness began to fill, not with noise, but with purpose. And here's what surprised her most. Her body responded too. Her energy improved. Her appetite came back. She started sleeping better. She even walked faster. Eleanor didn't need another vitamin. She needed a reason to feel alive again. Because here's the truth. Purpose isn't just a nice thing to have after 70. It's medicine. It gives your brain something meaningful to focus on. It gives your heart something to beat for. And it reminds your body that you're still in the game. Maybe your purpose looks different now than it did 30 years ago. Maybe it's quieter, softer, but that doesn't make it any less powerful. Whether it's tending a garden, calling an old friend, writing down your stories, or simply showing up for someone else, you are still needed, still valuable, still growing. So I want to ask you, what do you want the next chapter of your life to feel like? Do you want to feel calm, centered, and strong? Do you want to wake up with a reason to smile? Then let me invite you to reclaim something that may have gotten lost along the way. Not youth, but joy. Not perfection, but peace. Because aging isn't about slowing down. It's about leaning in, into the beauty of what remains, into the wisdom you've earned, into the quiet power of living with intention. And when you do that, when you choose to live fully, not just longer, your body listens and it begins to heal. Now, let's move into the heart of today's message. The 3 common vitamins that many seniors are still taking, thinking they're helping. But that may no longer be doing anything at all. Let's begin with the first one. You made it this far, and that means something. Because if you're still here, if you stayed with me through this whole conversation, it's because you care about your body, your energy, your joy, and about living well, not just getting by. That matters more than you know, because aging doesn't have to mean decline. It can mean wisdom, strength, peace, even transformation. You've already taken the most important step, awareness. Now you know that fatigue isn't always just age. That loneliness has a real effect on your health. That what you eat, how you move, and how you feel inside, all of it shapes your body in ways we often overlook. You've learned that some vitamins may no longer be helping you, and that there are better, simpler, more powerful ways to support your body now. But more than anything, you've remembered something deep inside you. You're not too old. You're not done yet. Your body still listens when you care for it. And that's beautiful. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need to chase youth or perfection. All you need is one small step, one change, one moment of self-love. Maybe it's drinking water first thing in the morning. Maybe it's stretching before you get out of bed. Maybe it's calling someone who makes you smile. Or simply choosing a different vitamin, one that actually supports your body now. Whatever it is, start where you are, even if it's slow, even if it feels small, because every choice you make today sends a message to your body. I'm still here. I still care. I still want to live fully. And that message changes everything. So take a deep breath. Look around at the life you've built, the love you've given, the strength you've carried through every season. You've come so far. And the next chapter? It's yours to shape. This is your time, not to fight aging, but to embrace it. With grace, with power, with purpose. So begin. Even if slowly, even if quietly, even if no one else sees it, because you do. And that's enough. Take a moment. Now, not to rush, not to do anything, but just to sit with what you've heard today. Because change begins in stillness, in reflection, in that quiet space between thought and action. So I want to ask you something. What was one thing that made you think differently today? Maybe it was realizing that fatigue isn't always just age. Maybe it was understanding that loneliness affects more than just your heart. It affects your whole body. Or maybe it was learning that some vitamins you've been taking for years might no longer be helping you at all. Whatever it was, let it stay with you. Let it remind you that you are still growing, still learning, still capable of making choices that support your strength, your clarity, and your joy. And if there's one small change you'd like to try starting tomorrow morning, just one, what will that be? Maybe it's drinking a glass of water before coffee. Maybe it's choosing a different vitamin. Or maybe it's simply stretching before you get out of bed. Pick one thing. That's how change happens. Not all at once, but step by gentle step. Now, if this message touched something in you, if it reminded you that you're not alone, that your body still listens, that aging can be graceful and powerful, then I invite you to share this with someone who needs to hear it too. Maybe it's a friend who's been feeling tired lately. Maybe it's a family member who's struggling with their health. Or maybe it's yourself months from now when you need to remember why these choices matter. Leave a comment below. Share your story. Tell us what resonated most with you. Or tag someone you love and say, "This is for you." Because we're not meant to walk this path alone. This channel, this space, is about more than information. It's about connection, about wisdom passed forward, about supporting each other with kindness, honesty, and heart. You bring so much to this world: your experience, your resilience, your presence, and we're honored to walk this journey with you. If this felt meaningful to you today, if it gave you hope or clarity, or even just a quiet sense of peace, please hit subscribe. We are walking this path together, one small step at a time, one thoughtful choice at a time, one beautiful life at a time. Thank you for being here.